I would now like to invite to the podium Ms. Michelle Klein-Solomon, the Director for the Department of Data, Insight and Policy Coordination at the International Organization for Migration.
Thank you very much, Sherwin, and good morning to all of you. It is truly an honor and pleasure to be here. I have just come in from Geneva, Switzerland, where I hold a new post as defined. But just a few months ago, and for the last 3.5 years, I was IOM's Regional Director for Central and North America, and importantly, the Caribbean, and had been involved with the development of this policy and initiative since its outset. And it is a great honor and pleasure to have reached this day with you all here today. Honorable Fitzgerald Hines, Minister of Parliament, Minister of National Security, Government of Trinidad and Tobago, a particular thanks to you for hosting us here today in your beautiful country and with your tremendous hospitality. Thank you, sir, and thanks to your government. Assistant Secretary General for Social and Human Development at the CARICOM Secretariat, and my friend, Alison Drayton. Wonderful to be here beside you. UN Resident Coordinator for Trinidad and Tobago, Suriname, Aruba, Curacao, and St. Martin's, Joanna Kazana, thank you for being here with us today. Mr. Jeffrey Kundu, Migration Policy Coordinator with the African Union Commission, and I'm not sure if I've seen you in the room yet. He will be online, okay. And this is a very interesting part because it allows for cross-regional sharing of ideas and inspiration. Deputy Chief of Mission of the Embassy of the United States of America, Michael Fitzpatrick. Thank you, sir, and thank you for support to this initiative. Permanent secretaries, representatives of member states, development banks, United Nations organizations and agencies, civil society and the media, and all others that are joining us online that could not be with us today in particular, but those that are unable to travel due to the emergencies caused by Hurricane Beryl. And allow me to join the very moving remarks of Assistant Secretary General Drayton regarding the devastating effects of Hurricane Beryl and offer my prayers for all the peoples, for the well-being of all the peoples in your communities. This was a tremendous hurricane, unusually early in the season. Hurricane 5 in June, it does not bode well for the region. And I am tremendously impressed by your resilience and your commitment to being here today. My hearts are with you and all of your communities. I would like to also thank the multiple United Nations agencies and Office of the Resident Coordinators, not just the Resident Coordinator here, but from all of your states, for their enthusiastic engagement in this initiative to develop a regional migration policy for the Caribbean community. I also would like to thank the steering committee comprised of CARICOM, CARICOM Impact, the OECS Commission, the chair of the Chiefs of Immigration, and the International Labor Organization that joined the steering committee as providing critical, specialized technical assistance to ensure a robust labor migration component within the policy framework. Let me turn to migration more generally and setting the context for our discussion. Migration policies are truly vital to harnessing the development potential and the positive impacts of migration. According to official UN statistics, there are some 281 million international migrants in the world today. Most international migration is safe, orderly, and regular, contrary to what you might read in the news. At the same time, and building on the remarks of Assistant Secretary General Drayton, the number of those who need to leave their countries or communities of origin to seek safe and productive lives continue to rise as conflicts, political instability, situations of human rights violations, lack of economic opportunity, poverty and inequality proliferate around the world. The number of people undertaking dangerous journeys because they see no alternative to doing so is increasing and should be of concern to all of us in the room here today. And let's not forget, as Assistant Secretary Dayton just underscored, climate change and weather-related disasters are already having a major effect on human mobility, both within and across borders. And it will continue to do so and to the future. Those displaced due to the effects of climate change and disasters will need pathways enabling them to move safely, and here international cooperation is fundamental. At the same time, demographic shifts are resulting in some countries having a depleted workforce due to shrinking populations coupled with aging populations requiring care, and other countries with younger populations yet inadequate job opportunities. We need to ensure a better match between those needs and the supply and demand. And I don't mean to sound like an economist when we're talking about human beings. There are human needs, labor and otherwise, in many countries of the region, and there are other parts of the region that have people on offer looking for opportunities, as well as people further afield. This all means that there's a pressing global need for sustainable approaches and solutions to migration and displacement around the world, and the need is continuing to grow and to grow in the future. Harnessing the benefits of migration for safe, prosperous, and sustainable future requires policies and laws that help to save lives and protect people on the move, enable solutions to displacement, and facilitate regular migration. These policies and laws are the foundations of good migration governance and management and are key to realizing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and implementing the Global Compact for Safe, Regular, and Orderly Migration adopted by the General Assembly in 2018. I'd like to commend the steps taken already towards the CARICOM regional migration policy. Around the world, many governments are seeking new approaches and workable solutions to migration and displacement. Here in the Caribbean, the regional migration policy that we are gathered to discuss for the next 3 days is one particularly exciting example of this. Your coming together is notable, and I can tell you, other regions of the world are watching your discussions here today. IOM commends the heads of government and the CARICOM institutions for calling for a regional migration policy and for coming together to make it a reality. This is a potentially historic and transformative framework for the Caribbean. For multiple generations, migration of all forms has defined and shaped the societies of the Caribbean. Many people have moved to the region, many have also left, and many have moved within the Caribbean, between your countries. These inward and outward trends have included people who are looking for opportunities to work or study, people displaced by the effects of climate change, and people who are simply looking for a better life in a new place. That is understandable. Whether we're referring to the arrival of people from other places or the emigration of people to opportunities elsewhere, migration can present transformative opportunities. And we all know too well it can pose significant challenges. Although you come from countries with different contexts, you have all agreed on the importance of working together to govern and manage migration. This common purpose is vital. And let me call your attentions to some priority issues that have already been identified through the consultations that we've undertaken in the lead up to this conference here today. Key issues that have already been identified include labor migration, migration and health, climate change and environmental degradation, border management, the protection of vulnerable migrants, human trafficking, emergency preparedness and response, diaspora engagement. And contrary to what Assistant Secretary General said, I think the last one I'm going to read is in fact sexy, the collection and management of migration data. We need it desperately. It is, as you say, the foundation for appropriate responses. Don't be fooled by how bureaucratic and dry it sounds. It is absolutely essential to know who is where, who they are, what they need, what are their vulnerabilities, and how we can best assist. That's the only way that we can develop policies that actually meet real needs. Subgroups of the Policy Advisory Committee helping to prepare this work have been created around three broad areas of intervention. The first, border governance, trafficking, smuggling, and refugee protection. The second, climate change and environmental migration. And thirdly, labor migration. These three large baskets of issues are relevant to all of you in this room and more. It is, of course, the sovereign right of states to determine their own migration policies in conformity with international law. IOM is here to help that process at global, regional, national, and local levels as governments and the international community grapple with multiple overlapping crises while striving to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. It's a tall order. IOM respects the global, regional, and national obligations of all member states and proposes that the regional policy framework be grounded in the revised Treaty of Charaguaramas, I hope I pronounced that correctly, and somebody correct me if not, please. Chagaramas, thank you very much, Chagaramas, excuse me. It's the first time I've said it out loud. And guided by the Global Compact for Safe, Orderly, and Regular Migration, along with other relevant international conventions and treaties. When it comes to regional cooperation, IOM is committed to not just a whole of government and whole of society approach, but to a whole of UN approach. And as coordinator and secretariat of the UN Network on Migration, we are delighted that our partners in the UN system have joined together with us in this effort to help underpin our support to you, the member states of CARICOM. It's also critical to promote the engagement of regional organizations, CARICOM and, of course, its constituent entities, but others like the OECS, and I'm delighted to see that we have representatives here of the OECS and other regional bodies, but also the international development banks, civil society, to make sure their voices are heard and are taken into consideration. To close, I strongly encourage everyone to participate actively throughout the next few days. You are here as equals. All of your voices matter, working towards a common goal. And we are here to help you find a path and lay the foundations for the policy. I thank you for being here. I thank you for your time and attention, and I look forward to a very stimulating next few days. Thank you very much.